Hello again, Internet. This is Maester Mike, and I'm back for another Star Wars review. This time I'm reviewing The Empire Strikes Back, and sorry this takes so long, it's just I'm not very good at don't have much willpower in making myself do things. So, yeah, I'm here to review the next part of the Star Wars saga. So, I don't know who's gonna really watch this because everyone knows about these movies. Practically everyone's seen them. And so, how many people are actually going to watch my video? I can't really think of this, but I just want to do this mostly for myself, and if anyone wants to watch this, then cool. I'm glad. I'm mostly trying to watch these movies because it's been, as I said in the last video, it's been years and years since I've seen these movies, and I just wanted to rediscover why I fell in love with these movies in the first place. And especially with the prequels and the sequels that are just wrapping up. I just really want to get this all out here before the crap hits the fan. So, Empire Strikes Back is the follow-up to the original Star Wars, and boy is it a very entertaining piece. It follows off several years after the last movie, which is something I have to say. I don't think these movies ever really convey the passage of time too well. Like, I never knew that this movie takes place chronologically 3 years after the first film, until I saw various online postings on Wikipedia or the Star Wars Wiki or whatever. Yeah, they never. I don't know if they actually mentioned it, and I just didn't pay much attention. But yeah, I don't think these movies really convey the passage of time very well. But anyway, it takes place several years after the first movie, and despite the fact that the rebellion has destroyed the Death Star in the first movie, the Empire has bounced back, and now they mean business. They are not going to let the rebellion stop them in their conquest of the universe. It starts out with after Luke gets lost in this. Let me start again. The rebellion has relocated to this ice planet called Hoth, which I would hate to live on. I do not like the cold very much. I don't like the hot, extreme heat very much either. But I would not want to live on this planet. They relocated to this desolate ice planet Hoth, and after Luke gets lost there after getting attacked by this giant abominable snowman creature called a Wampa. I think they're called Wampas. Correct me in the comments if I made that mistake. He sees a vision from Obi-Wan and who tells him to go continue his Jedi training on the planet Dagobah, and after that, the Empire finds the rebels, and so they're forced to defend themselves while they get all the rebels out of there to their next rendezvous point. And we just watched the Empire completely trounce them in this whole battle. And so that's pretty much the theme of this whole movie. It just shows that just how powerful the Empire is, and just how how determined they are to win this war. And so and after that battle, it separates into two different plots. Luke and R2-D2 goes off to the planet Dagobah, where they find the mysterious old creature known as Yoda, who helped trains Luke into being a proper Jedi, which is something weird. Why does Yoda's species not have a proper canonical name? That's something I find really weird, that they never came up with a name for it. It's like Frieza from Dragon Ball. Frieza doesn't have an actual species name. He's just the Frieza race. Anyway, and the subplot is Han, Leia, Chewbacca, and C-3PO who take the Millennium Falcon as they escape from the Empire, who's continuously chasing them down, even through this deadly asteroid field. We see love blossom between Han and Leia, and it's just their desperate struggles to get away from the Empire, who's desperate to get them back. So yeah, I'm sorry that it took me this long to come to review this. I actually watched this movie twice because I feel like I don't think I watched the original trilogy as much as I did when I was little. I prefer the prequels. And I think this movie in particular was one that I watched the least, aside from probably The Revenge of the Sith. So yeah, I watched this movie twice, and I don't know, I feel like I just watched it a second time because I feel like some certain things were a little dated, like maybe the action was a little, I don't know, I feel like for me personally, when it comes to action scenes and science fiction things, I like more hand-to-hand combat, which is why I like the lightsaber duels more than I do like the space battles, because I feel like there's a bit of a disconnect between starship battles and when it's two people clashing in person. But anyway, I watched it twice, and yeah, this movie is just excellent. Just a fantastic sequel that builds on the original and doesn't recycle really anything from it. It just builds on it, makes the world more interesting, the lore of the Jedi and what they... Just seeing Luke as he trains to be a Jedi and his struggles to learn how to use the Force and struggles with the dark side. Like, they actually use talk about the dark side more. It's very interesting and very exciting. That's one thing I'm not too fond of with A New Hope. The thing is about the Jedi and the Force, we only briefly see them in motion. Like, we don't ever actually see the Force except for Obi-Wan when he uses a Jedi mind trick on those stormtroopers. But this movie, that's something they thankfully rectified with all the other movies that came out after it. We actually get to see Luke use the Force and learn how to use it, and we actually get to see him use his lightsaber for more than like one time. Another thing they definitely improved on was that whole lightsaber duel between Luke and Darth Vader, which one thing, it's nice to see the main hero and villain actually meet this time. It's very satisfying to watch, and the lightsaber duel is very engaging and exciting, unlike the really cheesy original fight from the first movie, which I get why it was like that. They probably didn't have much of a budget or understanding of what it would look like, so I understand why it looks so stupid. Yeah, nice to see the character just grow and develop more, like, and see Luke as he struggles. You could say that Luke is still kind of whiny, especially when he fails to lift the X-Wing out of the swamp, but I do relate to him. I do feel his pain and struggles as he's trying to prove himself, but he just can't do it. It's also pretty overwhelming of a movie. It's mostly, like, especially with regards to Han and Leia's story, their story is basically just one big action scene throughout the entire film. We have to watch them as they spend most of the second act of the film outrunning the Empire, and as they avoid them on this asteroid where they accidentally go inside the mouth of this giant space worm thing, and it's very engaging and very fun. The whole film is pretty much just one big action scene, I feel like. It's not just these old characters that we get to see grow. And we also get to see plenty of new characters too, such as the best character in this movie by far is Yoda, who is I really like his first entrance, where he's very goofy and very weird and old and crazy. It's basically acting like, although it's kind of weird, he's basically acting like he's a Muppet, which makes sense because he's got the voice of... He's a puppet, and he's voiced by Frank Oz. He's just very silly, but then he shows himself to be very wise and very all-knowing, and he's just very intelligent and very wise. He's got some of the best lines of dialogue in pretty much all of Star Wars, because we all know the do or do not, there is no try. That is a very good line. We also get new character Lando Calrissian, an old friend and rival of Han, who eventually betrays them to the Empire. He's very charismatic and very cool. You understand why he did what he did. But he's still a good guy, even though he made a horrible mistake. The other new character that's introduced in this movie, I hate to say this, but I was never much of is Boba Fett. I was never much of a fan of Boba Fett, as... Sorry to say. Not that he's a bad character, isn't that he's very cool looking, as is all the other bounty hunters that they introduced for only one scene. Like, where did all they go? I'm pretty sure there's some extended universe thing that they had that explains what they did, but it's kind of disappointing that they only just bring in all these other cool guys for eye candy, but nothing else. But yeah, Boba Fett, I really never got the appeal to him. He doesn't really do too much in the whole film outside of hunt down and secretly track down Han and Leia for the Empire, and brings Han's carbonated frozen body to the criminal Jabba the Hutt. And especially considering what happens to Boba in the next movie, it doesn't really help matters very much. So yeah, I've never been much of a fan of Boba. Sorry to say, Star Wars fans, that's just me. Yeah. And especially what I like about this movie is, like, I also like the third act. One thing I should say is that just how much more intimidating and menacing the Empire is in this movie. Like, they're pretty much on top throughout the entire thing, from laying down a heavy defeat of the rebellion in the first act, from the ruthless hunting of Han and Leia in the second act, and from when they actually managed to capture them and win in this movie. It's pretty dark. This whole movie is pretty dark and kind of depressing in a way. I mean, like, you want to see the heroes win, but it had to be done to make the enemies more intimidating. And Darth Vader is definitely a lot more imposing in this movie. He is a very good villain. Just so he's always very calm and collected, but he's just ruthless and vicious, and he's bloodthirsty. Like, he kills his own. As we know, he kills his own subordinates if they so much as displease him with their actions. You don't want to mess with Vader. Oh, and it also introduces the Emperor for the first time. This is what I don't think that this movie did too much in the way of, like, adding unnecessary scenes with the special editions, I think. But the version that I prefer to watch is the 2004 DVD release, and one thing that they did add was make the Emperor be played by Ian McDiarmid like he is in every other movie, which I saw what he looked like. His appearance in the old movie, in the original theatrical cut, I think his visual looks a lot more intimidating, but I think it's better that they made him be played by Ian McDiarmid for the sake of having more continuity, which, yeah, he is pretty imposing in his one scene. Yeah. And yeah, the whole thing ends in one of the best and just a very good third act where the heroes get captured by the Empire, and we see Han get frozen into carbonite, which is quite a shocking scene. I always wish I could see this movie back in the theaters and just go into this movie fresh, in fact, to see, I just wish I could see this movie fresh for the first time, whether it would be back in 1980 when it was first released, or just fresh now, like seeing it for the first time, not knowing at all what makes these movies so good. And of course, we all know that great lightsaber duel between Luke and Darth Vader, which is great. And man, again, another thing I would love to see fresh. We all know probably the best part of the movie is when Darth Vader reveals himself to be Luke's father, which is, sorry, spoilers for like the two people that have not seen The Empire Strikes Back, which is just one of the greatest, I think one of the best twists of all time. Not only is it something that you don't expect, but it also makes the struggle with Luke and him having to deal with Darth Vader so much more meaningful, since make the fact that the main villain is his actual dad just makes things so much more interesting. I can't think of many other franchises that actually do that. It's such a good twist. Although I hate to admit this, when I first saw this movie years ago, I don't know if I was as blown away with it as I think I was spoiled. I think I had this twist spoiled beforehand. I don't remember which movies I saw first, but I think when I was getting into it, I think my family kind of spoiled it for me in a way, so I already knew. I think I may have known going in that Darth Vader was Luke's father. And there's also but not just my family, but there was also a certain other movie that was fairly recent by that time. Anyone remember Toy Story 2 and that scene where Buzz Lightyear is fighting Zurg, and they make the joke where Zurg is Darth Vader's father? I mean, Zurg is Buzz's father. That was a bad slip of the mouth. Yeah. So I kind of blame both my family and also Toy Story 2 for kind of spoiling the twist for me. yeah, I kind of feel like I wasn't as blown away by that twist, but I'm not trying to demean that twist at all. It is such a great reveal, one that you wouldn't see coming if you didn't know anything about this plot beforehand. Yeah, it is pretty ballsy that this movie ends on a cliffhanger too. Like you don't see, like Han's fate is left up uncertain, and we're just left on the cliffhanger of are they gonna rescue Han? What's gonna happen? Are they eventually gonna beat the Empire? They've really defeated them horribly in this movie. So yeah, it's a very exciting ride from beginning to end. It looks better. I think the animations and the effects look a lot better. All the different places that we go to are much more varied and unique. Like the icy planet of Hoth, the swampy Dagobah, and the cloud city of Bespin. Bespin would be a really cool place to live. Yeah, it also has, not that the first movie didn't sound better, but it does sound better with both sound effects, and the music is great, is better too. Especially with the fact that the Empire Strike, the Imperial March is introduced in this movie and plays throughout the entire movie just to show that the Empire is on top. It's still weird. I still find it weird that the Imperial March did not begin in the first movie, but well, something I had to learn. I don't think I really have too many complaints with this movie. The only things I can think of is maybe feel like some of the banter between Han and Leia as they're trying to figure out their relationship is a little hokey with some of the lines that they say. Also, there's that one scene where Leia kisses Luke in the beginning after they save him, which, considering that we know their actual relationship, makes things a little bit awkward. What other things do I have? I don't know. Maybe I feel like when I again watched this movie twice before I made this video, and I feel like maybe the plot of the second act with Han and Leia escaping the Empire is maybe a little overstays its welcome. I don't know. That's just a nitpick, and again, I feel like Boba Fett is not really that interesting of a character, and the only way you actually have to get some more perspective on him is through some of the expanded universe, which is kind of a flaw, but ultimately, I don't think any of these flaws take away from anything. This movie is a great sequel. Yeah, the original trilogy, it just holds up so well after all these years. It's just amazing how we're able to put this all together and make it work. Really impressive. If only more movies could be like that these days. Anyway, that should be my thoughts of these movies. If you like what you see, hope you can stick around to see more. And I don't know if I'll do anything else with this channel outside of my reviews of the Star Wars movies. Maybe. We'll see what happens. So I'll catch you guys later, and hopefully soon I'll get to my Return of the Jedi review. Maybe sooner than this video. So catch you later. Bye.